Join us in basically unpacking what is happening in budget, in policy, and in current affairs.
But then the question is, this sounds a little bit too good to be true. So the essence of this conversation is to understand, as a young person in Kenya, what questions should you ask? We were having a conversation about Safaricom and foreign investors, and I was going to ask you to chime in on the fact that the government of Kenya is selling out its shares to a foreign entity, and it is doing so at an underpriced fee, so to speak. And we are supposedly saying that this is a commercially viable project. What do you think about that?
On Safaricom, I have a lot to say.
Maybe in 2 minutes.
No, I want to take 1.5.
Okay,
One
better.
Is the government priced Safaricom shares at 27 shillings per share.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw in the market, through the Nairobi Stock Exchange market, it first went to 32, then it increased to 33. If you are selling at 27, we are going to be losing 6 shillings per share.
Yeah.
Okay. The number of shares we are selling is a huge amount. So if you multiply the number of shares that we are selling times 6, how much is that we are going to lose in terms of revenue that would have come in?
Yeah.
The other thing with Safaricom is a strategic asset to this country.
True.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Safaricom does is employment. And for the longest time, we've been having the opportunity to make sure that the CEO of Safaricom is Kenyan. And we also have the advantage of saying the percentage of employees in Safaricom that must be Kenyan.
Mm-hmm.
When we reduce our stake to 35%, and the Vodafone bit increases to 55%, there's going to be some imbalance there.
Yes.
I know the bill said that we will still have the discretion of electing the CEO to be a Kenyan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm.
But there is other things that are involved.
Actually,
You
that is
might
just
be
in
the
civil
CEO,
agreement.
but you don't have any voice there.
Yeah.
Because the guys who call the shots are there if we lose that. But to more concern is Safaricom carries our data. It has a lot of data. But if the government, I don't want to say that word, if the government wants to get information on any Kenyan, Safaricom will offer it. It has been offering it. If we don't cap how this foreign entity that is going now to be commanding 55% of the shares, Safaricom, how can that information be used? The third thing is, if we sell our shares today, we get money, the amount that the government is saying we are going to get. We use that money to whatever we want to use it to. What happens to the future generations? We are selling the long-term revenues that we'll be getting for the entire period, for generations. Let me use that word, for generations. If we sell it off right now, that kind of income, we are seeing it. Yes, it is. We are going to get 204 billion. That is short term.
Yeah.
We will invest that money. We will be done with it. What happens to future generations? Because there is supposed to be posterity. There is supposed to be the future. We should be looking at the future of the younger generations. Okay, so that is all I can say about Safaricom.
I agree. That's actually Article 2.1 of our Constitution.
Yes.
So I want us to talk about hidden risks in this proposed bill. And I want us to be very, very specific. So perhaps we can start with a very interesting word I saw in the bill. Section 26 of this bill talks about reporting. So it's basically saying the cabinet secretary should be making reports of what they have been doing in this board as they try to make money through the infrastructure fund and promote development. But the second part of this section, it says the cabinet secretary may make half-yearly reports on the fund to the cabinet and annually to the National Assembly. What exactly does that mean? Karel, maybe you want to take that one?
Let him take that.
Okay.
I'll address the PPP
Okay.
as a hidden risk.
There was a famous young man who talked who appeared before Parliament some times ago, and he was taking parliamentarians through a clause. I think it is Article 1 of the Constitution, talking about may and shall. It is simple English. May is optional. Shall is mandatory. So when we talk about making accountability optional, because if the cabinet secretary is taking the progress report to Parliament or to the cabinet, that is accountability.
Right.
So when we make accountability optional, then we are opening gaps for and the other thing that compounds that is, if we wait for a whole year, if the CS cannot appear within that period, then a lot of things can go wrong within this period if it doesn't appear, and there is nothing. There won't be a corrective measure when we now want to look at the report at the end of the year.
Right.
And we also know what happens with Parliament. When reports go to Parliament, for instance, with the example of the Auditor General reports, they stay there without review for quite some time. So if it is not done at a certain period of time, if it is not made to be mandatory, then there is a lot of risks. There won't be accountability.
Right.
And that is the serious risk I'm seeing in that. Yes.
Karel?
Yeah, another risk I'm seeing is in the implementation of this fund, there is what we call government guarantees. You know, when the government guarantees a project, that means if the project fails, the government will pay for it. You know, that is not necessarily a debt. But if the project fails, let's say you are building a dam and there is little oversight and they use fake material and the dam breaks, and there is already 50 billion sunk into that project, then that is a debt to our future generations. We also have the public-private partnership guarantees also. If the project fails, they are supposed to be compensated back by the government. Yeah, so I really see that as a big risk on the PPP compensation clauses. Yeah, so they are not very clear on what happens when a project fails.
Okay. And for avoidance of doubt, that is under Section 25 of the bill.
Just a minute. Actually, guaranteeing means if it goes wrong, it is the government that is going to pay.
Yes.
They are going to use money.
Coming
That
from
was
where?
they will have to find a way of getting money. If they don't borrow, then they are going to cut funds that were supposed to go to different sectors.
Right.
And they take it there. So it is going to be interfering with investment in other critical sectors, especially the social sectors, health education, water and sanitation, and social protection programs. And that is where the risks really lies.
I want us to also talk about Section 21. So it talks about investment policy. So anyone in this economics investment area would know that if you're someone who is investing your money, you have a policy which outlines how you do it, where you take your money for how long, and all those kind of things. So this section says, among other things, that it will be valid for a period of 5 years. At the top of my mind, I am seeing a problem here because it is going to be extremely politicized. But also, Tom, you had mentioned about the MTRS being done every 3 years and there being some sort of gap in this respect. Can you maybe make a comment on that?
When the current regime came into office, that is 2022, okay? So we were in 2022, 2023, and they developed the medium-term plan. And when they were doing the budget policy statement this year, they're actually reviewing how the medium-term plan has performed. So that was supposed to be, it is covering 3 years, 2022-2023 financial year, 2023-2024, and 2025-2026, which we are concluding right now. So that basically is looking at 3 financial years, okay? Then, if you want to do, if the government in its policies are supposed to be reviewing how their policies are performing in 3 years, how can we come up with an investment fund that is going to be reviewed after 5 years? Okay? What it means then is that between, in the middle, or rather before an election cycle, we cannot review that how the investment is performing.
Yeah.
So that is a problem. It risks, let's say this goes through and the current regime, we still have them in 2027, okay? So they want to go from 2027 to 2030 and the fund is in place. Then that fund is not reviewed the entire period. The president and this team leaves office. Who are we going to hold accountable? Once they're out of office, you know we are still having challenges with understanding how the Eurobond one performed. It is even becoming more difficult because the Jubilee regime is no longer in place. How do we follow that through?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that is a risk there. Yes.
I also think it's a problem to say that a fund, an investment fund, will last for 5 years, because if your intention is to invest to make good money, then you can't be investing for 5 years. No one makes big investments for 5 years. And maybe as we wrap this segment up on risks, can we talk about debt? Because this bill has been sold to us as the option out of debt. But this conversation seems to be taking us back to debt. Maybe Karel, you can speak a bit, and then Tom, you can conclude for us on that part.
Yeah, on the debt question, there are provisions that they're trying to place, to put in place that if there is not enough private investment or government investment, then there is also the option of financing it through debt. And there is also the question that the fund is not monitored by the COB and
budget.
And there is no ceiling to how much can come into the fund. This is the first fund that they have actually approved without a ceiling, which means they can bypass the normal borrowing mechanisms. Yeah. And actually sink us into deeper debt, because this debt is not even well monitored. How it comes in and where it's expended.
Yeah.
Because they can just say they want to do a catalytic project and put 100 billion there. If you take them to court, it's very legal. It's what we passed in parliament. This is a catalytic project. So there are so many risks involved in this specific fund in relation to the debt question. But also generally, Kenya needs to untether itself from the debt cycle. You know?
What does that mean?
For example, you know, if you have this kind of debt conversation with a small child, you tell them, I've borrowed you 1,000 bob, but every week I'll be paying you 100 bob. After 8 weeks, I still owe you 900 bob. It's like, what's happening? That's the same thing we have been facing in Kenya. Between 2013 and 2022, Kenya raked a debt from 2.1 when they picked from Kibaki to over 8.5.
Right.
But over the same period, we paid around 5.6. But somehow,
We
the
still
debt
have 8.
kept increasing. We borrowed 8 point, including the Kibaki debt. We borrowed 8.5. We paid 5.6. Why do we still owe 11? You know?
Yeah, good questions.
But what people don't know about that is the fact that these debts usually have very high interest.
True.
Some have 17%. If you borrow 1 billion, you have to pay 1.17, which is a very high
Interest
rate.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem with debt is a bigger portion of that whole debt we borrow in the domestic market, which means there is no money for you and me to go and actually borrow from the banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the banks know the government will always pay. I can borrow the bank and maybe I'm not able to pay, and they have to go through all auctioning my property and all that. It's a lot of hassle.
True.
But with government, it's very easy money that they know they will always get. You know? So the government has borrowed to the maximum in the domestic market, and they've also borrowed from outside. And our domestic loans are actually more expensive.
Yeah.
They're more expensive in the sense that they have higher interests, and the interests compound. If this year we borrowed 1 billion, next year it will be 1.17. Now we calculate 17% of
Of
that.
Yeah.
It's not of the original amount, it's of the new amount. You know?
Yeah.
And you look at all these euro bonds and all that, you find that this money accumulates so quickly that it reaches a point where we stop paying the debt and actually start paying the interest. You know? And the banks are so clever, they've put it in a way that as long as you can pay interest, they can allow you to borrow more. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I borrow you 1,000 bob, and you tell me you will return 1,100. But then I realize I can't pay 1,000 bob. So I tell you I'll pay the 100 on top. But can I borrow 500 bob? Now, I have 1,500. I owe you 1,500. Now, I need to pay you 1,650. The
Yeah, the
150 on
interest
top
on-
is the interest.
Yes.
And I borrow, I paid the 150 because I can't pay the 1,500. I pay the 150 and borrow 500.
Again.
Now I need to borrow 2,200. And that's how we got from 2 billion to over 2 trillion to over 11 trillion. And I thought, I think it's already at 12.
I think so. Yeah,
12.5.
12.5. Yeah. It's because the banks allow you to borrow more, even if you haven't paid the other one, as long as you're paying the interest.
But I think maybe it's also a question of wisdom, because as an individual, that's not a decision I would actually make. So then it begs the question why, as a country, the people who are supposedly in these positions go ahead to make such decisions. Maybe Tom, you can chime in as we conclude.
I think even before Tom comes in, I want to elevate the conversation to say, my good co-host has said that we need to at least be wise. And looking at where we've come from, 2 trillion to 12 trillion, that is a lot in that short period. Don't you think that the fund is going to be the right solution for moving this country from debt distress to basically having major projects. Like recently, you heard that you want to have a new airport at. I'm forgetting the name. We want to do a new airport at this tech hub in Kenya,
Kwanza.
Konza.
Mm.
So we want to do a very big and a major airport that will, of course, compete with Ethiopian airline. And for me, I feel that with proper governance, proper structures, proper oversight, rightful spending, right priorities, then I don't see any problem with having a separate fund that is going to take care of these issues.
Tom.
You've touched a very good spot. A very good spot. I don't know. I'm looking at them, but they are not looking at me. But that is a very big problem,
Okay.
guys. That is a very big problem. One of the things that the National Infrastructure Fund is supposed to deliver is a successful PPP. PPP is
Framework.
Yes, PPP framework is what we are trying to achieve with the National Infrastructure Fund. You know, the other thing is with PPPs, there is the component of securitization, and that is where this is heading to.
Okay.
What has happened is we've exhausted the foreign market
Okay.
borrowing, so we can't enjoy that luxury of going to the foreign market. The fiscal space is too tight. If you look at the budget policy statement 2026 today, we are going to borrow 1.14 trillion.
Okay.
That's the fiscal deficit, 1.14 trillion. And of that, around 78 to 79% of it should be funded through domestic borrowing. Okay? What does that tell us? It means, again, we are also squeezing the domestic market again.
Okay.
What other option do we have? The PPP framework must work.
True.
We have to go the PPP way. And what is going to happen with the PPP? Privatization. No, securitization. If we securitize this fund, what have we done? Because the moment you bring a private investor, those people they're in business.
They have to
Okay?
Profit.
They have to. They are profit minded. Okay, and you have to. Sometimes I tend to think the key assets we've really used them to borrow some loans that we even don't know. We've depleted that. You remember the conversations around, sometimes it was KICC, we were talking about it. Sometimes we were also discussing about bombers. I don't know if you've heard that even the title deed for, is it Jivanji Gardens? There's a sometime we were saying,
We're not sure.
we were not sure. We were not sure. So the securitization component is real with the National Infrastructure Fund. If that happens, that's borrowing, guys.
Okay.
That's a serious risk to the future generations. It is going to tie a lot of. You cannot. Whatever will go into that fund, the first thing that it will do, you sort the private investors.
Yeah.
And you look at the Adani framework that was proposing 30 years with JKIA. 30. Would Ruto be alive after 30 years? Which generation was going to be incurring that?
True.
Okay? So that is the challenge we are having. I don't want to, because I'm seeing what they're saying, I don't want to go into, but it is risky. It is risky. But after looking at what we've looked at, maybe if we will have some other time later to conclude, looking at how this is and the gaps that we are seeing, lack of oversight from Parliament, from the control of budget, I think the fund as is, or the bill as is, it is really violating a lot of PFM sections,
Yeah.
and also the some provisions in the constitution, and that that makes it will make it unconstitutional if we go that direction.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing that I want to say, you remember, you should know that this is not the first time this bill is being tabled
Mm.
before Parliament. Last year, it was already done.
Okay.
Okay? And the Treasury was taken back that this thing is unconstitutional. And it was challenged in court. It is still in court.
Mm-hmm.
So they were given a second time to redraft it afresh, to make it better, to improve it, considering the clauses that were being challenged.
Okay.
I don't think they've done any better.
In case the bill fails to pass, what alternatives do we have to consolidate development finance for the country and to ensure that we also achieve the full picture, moving Kenya to Singapore, whereby we have better roads, we have better airports, we have better stadiums. So what is the alternative if the fund fails to pass, the bill fails to pass?
Thank you. I think we need to stop having a defeatist mindset as a country. Sometimes
What do you mean by that?
a lot of things have gone bad
Okay.
until most Kenyans have just given up on the system, thinking it cannot work anymore.
Okay.
There are so many other options we could explore. First of all, we need to strengthen the systems.
Which systems?
The systems, the ministries.
Okay.
Before we started establishing these funds, these projects were actually done by the specific ministries. For example, building a special economic zone, that one is under the Ministry of Industrialization. Building things like Konza City is under the Ministry of Housing.
Okay.
Yeah, in cooperation with other ministries. Things like infrastructure, big infrastructure projects around energy. We want to be self-reliant. So there's all that. It's a big scope. There's stadia under the Ministry of Sports. We have ports under the Ministry of, is it transport? I don't know. Yeah. We can strengthen systems in those ministries because they've done this before. They've built stadia. They've been able to build expressways. If we can find tough measures to ensure that money doesn't get embezzled in the ministries, I think that will be a nice place to start, even as we now expand the conversations to see how better the funds can be managed to be able to achieve those mega infrastructure programs.
Tom, even before you answer,
Yes.
I want you to put in mind that most of the income we earn as a country is crowded in by salaries, debt
Pending
repayments,
bills.
pending bills.
Yeah.
So therefore, even as we reflect on alternatives, I think it's also good to be realistic so that we also don't... It's good to kill corruption. I really support the fact that it's one of the main loopholes we should seal. But then where are we? What situation are we in? And what better alternatives, which are realistic, taking care of the current situation we are in?
The situation is bad.
Okay.
Allow me to talk like Sifuna sometimes. The situation is bad. We're doing bad.
Are you Sifuna? Let me see your t-shirt.
Yes. The situation is really bad. And if there is a prayer, is I'm praying it fails.
Okay.
It doesn't go through.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Why am I saying so?
Okay.
I believe
Okay.
there's a system where proceeds are going to come from this other where they can be managed. We've
Okay.
just identified that the funds that are going to come in, they're not going in through consolidated fund.
Okay.
And the controller of budget cannot actually see and cannot account. And once it does not go through the controller of budget, it will be also very difficult. The Auditor General will really struggle to access that information, to do proper audits
Okay.
on the funds.
Okay.
So I think just based on those barriers, unless we are sure that there is no alternative where these funds can be directed to, which I don't think. There is a consolidated fund account.
Okay.
The levy, the infrastructure levy, for example, yes, there are questions that have been raised with that. The Auditor General says, no, I cannot bring a report on that one because that does not go through. I can't see how withdrawals are being done from that source. So based on those gaps, I pray it fails. Okay?
Okay.
What are other proposals that we are having, or the solutions we are seeing? One of the things that you've talked about, the issue of revenue, the debt servicing. Our revenue as a country, not revenue actually, but recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is 2 trillion, close to 3 trillion. Actually, right now, it is even higher, leaving less than 1 trillion for development. Then the other question is how much goes to debt servicing in that, and how much goes to salaries and wages in that. Okay? Debt servicing is taking 1 trillion.
Okay.
Okay, around 1.1 something that thereabout. Then salaries and wages is also accounting to around currently it went beyond 1 trillion mark. Okay,
Are they paying pending bills?
hiyo iko hapo. Ngoja. Yeah, iko hapo. Hata the debt that we are saying is 12.5 trillion currently. Pending bills are not there. They are not part of the debt. All right? So one of the things that we are doing as a country, we are really straining our sources of income with bloated government. Just the other day, we saw that why would the office of the president have all those advisors and still earning almost the same as cabinet secretaries and permanent secretaries, some of them, yes? And the number is close to the number of cabinet secretaries. That took our wages from 9 billion to 1.1 trillion.
Let me tell you something else. The advisors to the president actually have advisors. I was shocked. I know one advisor personally. I will not mention them. But they have a whole board of a team of more than 15 people who are paid and remunerated by the SRC. They are permanent,
So that is what I'm bringing.
Okay.
So when we talk about this, the first thing is, why don't we budget according to what we have?
Okay. Cut your coat according to your size.
Yes. Why don't we budget according? Why must the budget today increase from 4.3 trillion with close to 400 billion to 4.76 trillion? And if you look at that, development, you look at it, not significant amount has gone to development. You look at it critically. Significant amount has gone to recurrent expenditure. And right now, we've not met the PFM provisions of 30-70 rule, where 30% goes to development. A minimum of 30% goes to development. And a maximum of 70% goes to recurrent.
Okay.
We are at, if you do the math, they are saying in the BPS, they're saying it is 26-27%.
As we wrap up this conversation, what is your parting shot to the INF National Infrastructure Fund conversation? What is your parting shot? And also, possibly recommendation.
Thank you, James. What I'd say is if the infrastructure fund must pass.
Okay.
Significant amendments must be done. One, based on the gaps we've seen,
Okay.
parliamentary oversight must be brought. Two, the independent officers, we must see the active role. Three, we are seeing a risk of capture of the board by the CS.
Mm-hmm.
That must be removed.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally, compliance with the Public Finance Management Act and the Constitution of Kenya
Okay.
must be adhered to
Okay.
if it must pass.
Karel, what do you have to say? Parting shot.
Thank you, James, for inviting us to this podcast. And I'm really liking how this conversation around PFM is starting to gain more traction. My parting shot would be on this specific infrastructure bill. We would want to see most of the amendments that have been collected through the public participation forums that the government has held up to now being implemented. Yeah, because we have seen a lot of gaps in how the implementation of the fund is going to be. The CS has unparalleled control over the fund, which means withdrawals can be made anytime. And there's other structural gaps that are part of the bill. So we would suggest that this bill needs to go through several more layers of public participation, and Parliament also needs to put a heavy hand on the gears of that bill specifically before it becomes a fund, so that it doesn't reach a point where the fund cannot be oversighted by the COB, by the Auditor General, and by the Parliament. Yeah. So thank you for hosting us, Nelly and James. We would like to be regular guests and have more of these talks. Thank you.
So, guys, as you've just heard, at Budget Ndio Story, young people don't just listen. They engage, they question, and also we influence the direction of our country. My name is James Maingi, and my co-host is
Nelly Minor.